Appropriately, we've talked about Dr. Ponseti's humanity, his interest always open to new things, new kinds of music, for example. What an inquiring mind, what an enthusiast for life. A legacy, though, that is also worthy of recognition is his lifelong quest to give his specialty, the specialty he loved, orthopedics, a firm foundation in basic science. Now, to orthopedic surgeons, that may seem a little quixotic, if I could use that word, because orthopedic surgeons love power tools. They love to fix things. They love to make things better. If you ask them to explain how basic science had changed orthopedics, some would struggle. In fact, they would probably say, over the last 50 years, orthopedic practice has been transformed. We have new operations, new technologies, new implants. We've achieved great success in improving the lives of millions of people, artificial joints, new methods of reducing and fixing fractures, new methods of correcting spinal deformity, arthroscopic treatment of joint injuries. This rapid and in many cases spectacular success of operations, implants, and devices did not dissuade Ignacio Ponseti from his belief that orthopedists should lead the search for causes of disease. They should lead the search for understanding of the basic biologic processes that could restore damaged tissues. He did not disparage skillful performance of operations or technical advances. He was a fine surgeon. He sought and gave his patients the best treatment. He taught others to do the same. For most surgeons, that would have been enough. Yet it didn't satisfy him. It never satisfied him to find an effective treatment because he never stopped seeking the causes of diseases and better ways to guide the natural healing response. Soon after his arrival here in 1941, he became very involved in the orthopedic laboratory dedicated to studying pathophysiology. Just 10 years later, he established and developed one of the world's first connective tissue biology laboratories, a laboratory that he directed toward finding the cause of scoliosis. He started by studying collagen. The time he started that, most biochemists thought collagen was inert and uninteresting. Dr. Ponseti showed that, in fact, disturbances in the way collagen molecules are assembled can cause deformities of the skeleton, they can cause dissecting aneurysms. It was an exciting observation. But it didn't satisfy him. It didn't find the cause of scoliosis. So then he decided to investigate proteoglycans. He built a research program directed toward understanding these molecules and how they might affect the growth and development of the skeleton. That program led to important advances in understanding skeletal growth, the intervertebral disc, dwarfism, and osteoarthritis. But that didn't satisfy him. It didn't go far enough. He then looked to elastin, and more recently, he's been fascinated by the possibility that myosin, a muscle protein, could lead to skeletal deformity. What a career, what a quest, what enthusiasm. I consider it one of the blessings of my life that 35 years ago, he was assigned to be my advisor in medical school. His enthusiasm for orthopedics fascinated me. When I went through it as a medical student, I thought orthopedic surgeons just learned how to measure joint motion and test muscle strength. But Dr. Ponseti had a whole different view of the specialty. I remember him telling me again and again that while orthopedic surgeons were figuring out better ways to fuse joints or do tendon transfers for children with paralyzed limbs from polio, others were finding the cause of the disease. They found the cause of the disease and eliminated the need for orthopedic treatments. Just several years ago, he was sitting in my office and he was excitedly talking about how the interaction between proteoglycans and water molecules might explain how you could rapidly correct a deformed clubfoot, how the Ponseti technique might actually be working at the molecular level of the tissue. He was so excited by this idea, drawing pictures, looking at more pictures, asking me for more slides. And then he looked, there's quite a few things piled up in my office. I don't quite match Stu in terms of the collection of things, but I'm trying, it's close. And there was a large photomicrograph that I'd taken years ago of a healing femur fracture. Dr. Ponseti looked at it, he picked it up, he pointed out all the various tissues, and he said, "This is a work of art. This is nature at work. The healing fracture. It is a work of art. You must hang this in the department so these young people will know that fractures heal without metal or surgery." And he believed it, and he's right. He was my advisor, my teacher, and an inspiration from the day I met him, and not a day will pass that I don't think of him. And as I think of him today, I remember how often he admonished me for wasting precious time as an administrator, for wasting precious time serving professional and scientific organizations. It actually made him fairly angry at times. And he'd stress, I should be spending more time in the laboratory. I should be doing something important, something that would actually make a difference. Wise advice. Advice that he followed himself. He could have left the University of Iowa for other institutions many times. He never chose that course. He could have been a department chairman many times. He never chose that course. He could have been president of almost any, or certainly many, professional and scientific societies. He chose that course only once. In 1954, he was one of the orthopedic surgeons that founded the Orthopedic Research Society, and he served as its first president, a society that now has become the most important international forum for orthopedic research, and certainly part of his legacy. I can imagine how pleased he would be if we discovered a way to prevent osteoarthritis and thereby eliminated the need for our most successful and widespread operation, total joint replacement. It would please him to know that surgeons would stop replacing what he called one of nature's finest works of art, the human joint, with plastic and metal. The only thing I can think of that would make him happier is if we discovered a cure for scoliosis so that children with this deformity would no longer have surgery, just as he found a way of treating clubfoot without surgery. His achievements are unsurpassed, but one of the great disappointments of his life was that he didn't discover the cause of disturbances of formation of the skeleton and growth. His search for these causes and for better understanding of the healing of injured and diseased tissues is his unfinished work. But his lifelong passion for this search has given our profession and our department a direction for the future and has ensured that at the University of Iowa, his vision, his values, and his work will continue. That is his legacy, as I see.